Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Dr. Seuss's The Grinch, featuring the voices of Benedict Cumberbatch, Rashida Jones, Kenan Thompson, Cameron Seeley, Angela Lansbury, and Pharrell Williams, and directed by Scott Mosier and Yarrow Cheney. Now, I remember going to theaters for this thing, and what did I do when I saw this the first time? I fell asleep. And I'm still gonna have to see if I can survive this two viewings without falling asleep. Let's get into this movie, shall we? In a dream town of Whoville, where it's Christmas time, and of course the Who's love Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, does not. And the song "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch" played rather early, and I don't like this version Tyler the Creator made up. It sounds horrible. And the fact the Grinch has a hard time saying Christmas doesn't make much sense to me either. And the fact he's going to Whoville for groceries without a disguise doesn't make any sense either. We get Donna, who, voiced by Rashida Jones, who works at night and takes care of the kids, like Cindy Lou, who, voiced by Cameron Seeley, during the day. And where's the father? And when is she a single mother? And when did she have a name? Well, she sort of have a name in the last one, I will admit. But I don't remember the mother having a different name in the book or in this movie series or in the original animated movie from the 1960s. Cindy Lou mails a personal wish in the mail as for Santa Claus as she bumps into the Grinch, and the Grinch bumps into Mr. Bricklebaum, voiced by Kenan Thompson. And let's get to Cindy Lou's backstory. She has a wish for Donna to be happy with a man who, and my problem is we never get that backstory at all. And why put it in this movie? I'm not a fan of this take of this story, as I'm thinking, what's the point of telling this story again with more unnecessary backstory? Jim Carrey's was enough, but this, oh my goodness gracious. The Grinch sees Mr. Bricklebaum getting a ginormous Christmas tree as the Grinch tries to ruin the ceremony ran by Mayor Gurkle. I don't even know how that's a name in this series, voiced by Angela Lansbury. And the Grinch remembers his past as he was lonely on Christmas one year and never got adopted, as it was the worst day of his life. And when was the Grinch ever an orphan? And the Welcome Christmas song by the Who's, as he thinks of stopping Christmas from coming, is disguising himself as Santa Claus. And we're 30 minutes into this movie, and I still don't know what the point of remaking this movie to begin with is, or why should I care at all. Cindy Lou tells her best friend Rupert about how she needs to talk to Santa Claus about her mother, as she invites Axel, and Izzy in to help set up the trap so Cindy Lou could talk to Santa Claus. Meanwhile, the Grinch goes hunting for reindeer as a goat screams quite a bit, which got annoying after a while, I will admit. I know he does it 3 times, but and calls and he and picks a reindeer out and calls it Fred, and the Grinch steals Mr. Bricklebaum's Santa sleigh. And I'm still not sure why should I care about this version of the Grinch. The next day comes and Fred makes a mess in the kitchen and makes an excellent cup of coffee. And they check how many houses are in Whoville, and Max eats some sausages, which I guess was kind of clever, I guess. I couldn't tell you. The Grinch teaches Max the dog and Fred to resist the cookie and tells the brand new sleigh out as Fred finds his family, which is a wife and kid, and the Grinch lets Fred go to his family, which admittedly is cute. The next day comes as it's Christmas Eve, and the Grinch stitches together the Santa costume and promotes Max to be the reindeer. And the night of Christmas Eve comes, and all the Who's are asleep, and Cindy Lou's trap is set up. And the Grinch starts stealing Christmas all over Whoville and steals almost all of the presents and decorations and all that, as he has one house left, which is Cindy Lou's, as the trap works and on the Grinch. And she tells him her wish for her mother to be happy as he steals her Christmas and takes the Christmas up the hill. And Cindy Lou blames herself because the Grinch steals Christmas, and she realizes she's happy. And by she, I'm talking about her mother, Cindy Lou's mother. She's happy with her kids, which is Cindy Lou and her two brothers, and the Grinch's heart grows 2 sizes too big after hearing the singing by the Who's, and because of what Cindy Lou said, the Christmas almost fell to its death until Fred helps bring it up as he decides to bring them back, and feels guilty about it and goes back to his lair, and he's depressed until Cindy Lou invites the Grinch and Max to her house for Christmas dinner, and he comes as he realizes he wasn't alone anymore and proposes to kindness and love, the things we need most. And the climax is familiar, but at the end it was rather cheerful, but unfortunately I just didn't care at this point. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 3.6 out of 10. I don't get what the point of this movie getting remade is after 20 years, and that's when that Jim Carrey version came out. The story is the same with some unnecessary storylines, and this movie has some problems, but the end of the movie is cheerful, but unfortunately it's not enough for me to give this a good recommendation because I didn't see what the point of this movie existence is at all. So I would say, out of any of the Grinch that I've watched recently, I did watch that animated 1960s one a week before I watched the Jim Carrey one. I would say the 1960s animated one, and then the Jim Carrey one, and then this version. This is beyond the pits. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and I hope to see you again next Christmas. And until then, you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.